Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Maryville Live. My name is Blake Huster. I'm a third-year cybersecurity major here at Maryville University, and I'll be your host for Maryville Live. So if you've joined us over the past 2 months, welcome back. And if you're joining us just now tonight, welcome to Maryville Live. And we're happy that you joined us, and we're so excited about everything that we're going to talk about tonight. So just to give you a little overview of the show tonight, we have our very own Maryville University president, Dr. Mark Lombardi, with us, as well as we have two of our fellow student leaders with us to answer your all's questions about Maryville University and about being a student leader at Maryville University. So we're so happy that you joined us. Just to give you a little bit of the groundwork of how the show will work, is that if you want to ask us questions, which we highly recommend that you ask us questions throughout the night, please drop those in the chat below. There should be a little ask question box down below. Now, if you have questions regarding admissions to the university, please ask one of our admissions counselors that's live with us tonight in the chat box off to the side of your screen. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring in Dr. Mark Lombardi, the Maryville University president. Hello, well, Dr. Mark Lombardi, how are you?
Thanks, Blake, and it's a pleasure to be with all of you and to take part in this. I know this is a different kind of environment than we're used to. Meeting with groups of prospective students and parents and everyone face to face, but we've been doing a lot of these, and we're able to get a lot of good information out, so it's a pleasure. Just briefly, I've been at Maryville for 14 years. I'm in my 14th year, so needless to say, I haven't graduated yet, but I love it here, and I want to stay for a long, long time. So I guess you'd call that I'm a slow learner. It's going to be a while before I graduate, but It's great to be with you, and look forward to talking with you and answering questions and sharing perspectives this evening.
Yeah, so we actually do have some questions that are already rolling in. As a reminder to our viewers, to be able to ask Dr. Lombardi a question, it's right below your screen right now. So feel free to start rolling those in. But we actually already have a question. So talking about student leaders, they said, how have you seen student leaders help shape the Maryville community?
Well, in the time that I've been here and even before, leadership at Maryville in a variety of ways by the students has had a huge impact on this institution, whether it's student leaders in MSG, student government, or CAB, or all the various clubs and organizations that we have. Our student leaders have shaped everything from the dining services to sustainability to events on campus to adding athletic sports, to adding club sports. I mean, it's amazing how much the student engagement and leadership has helped shape the experience on the campus. And I can't think of hardly any of the great things that we've implemented over the last 10, 15 years that really didn't originate with student leaders and their ideas. So, and they continue to come in. I mean, right now during the pandemic, for example, where we instituted food delivery. So not only dining hall, et cetera, but food delivery. And I'm convinced from what I've heard from students, that's an idea that's here to stay. I don't think that's going anywhere. I think we'll have that for a long, long time. So.
Yeah, I'll vouch for that one. Let me tell you, it is really, really nice to have delivery service. I can just kind of going off that as well, something that I really enjoy each year, and later on we'll get to speak with Robert Summers, our president of Maryville Student Government. And so I think something that I kind of want to ask as well is, like, why do you think it's important to hold town halls? And so for our viewers that don't know, Maryville Student Government holds a town hall each year. Last year I was in Maryville Student Government. This year I joined as just a student, and it's so cool to me personally to see you there as our president, as well as so many different vice presidents, different leaders across our campus that are ready just to answer questions that we have. And so why do you think that's so important, and why is that something that you have done over the years?
Well, it's really important for students to be able to be in an open environment, to ask any questions they want, suggest ideas, present ideas, and for everyone within the institution and the administration, whether it's my office or the dean of student life or academic affairs, whatever, to hear those ideas, hear those questions, and engage in a dialogue. And through that dialogue, a lot of really good ideas and suggestions come forward. So, yeah, the town halls have been great. We usually do one in the fall and one in the spring. We've even done some in the summertime where we've been able to do it or as needed. So, and willing to do more. So a lot of good ideas and a lot of good suggestions and perspectives come out of those. So I enjoy them very much.
Yeah, and I don't know if it has to do with the fact that, you know, I feel like we're a very tight-knit community at Maryville. I feel like I know everybody at Maryville. They know me, and they genuinely care about my well-being at the university and my success. And so I think it's so cool, like, when I hear these ideas pitched at town hall that, you know, it might be next semester or even the next week that I'm seeing implementation of this. It's not like we're throwing out these ideas and they're not going anywhere. And so I've always held a special place for MSG and town hall because I think that's really cool, and I don't know many other universities that might be matching that model. We had a student ask, let's see, where did the question go? Sorry, someone. How do you think student leaders have pivoted in the wave of this pandemic? So I know obviously it's looked a little bit different for me as a student leader, and how have you seen that change over the past however many months we've been in this?
Well, that's a great question. You know, the pandemic has caused us all to change so many things in our lives, right? And the way we engage in social interactions and everything. But it's also opened up avenues of creativity. And what we've seen from student leaders, for example, are some amazing and creative ideas around social engagement, around connecting, everything from virtual experiences to you know, organizing virtual trivia contests and all kinds of neat and fun things that are really designed to say, look, we can't be together like we normally would or how we want to be, but we can still creatively explore ways that we can be together. And so, you know, challenges like a pandemic also unleash creativity. And what I love about Maryville and I love about our student leaders and our students in general is that they feel free and open to say, hey, we can't do it this way. How about if we try this or this or this? And we're able to experiment and do that. And it's been great to see what they've come up with.
Yeah. Transitioning a little bit here. Some of our incoming students aren't going to hop right into a student leadership position. So kind of the question was, what role do you think incoming students play as it relates to the campus community?
Well, you know, this is a great question because it's a very important issue to me. And here's the way I look at it. And it's not just new students, it's new faculty or new staff. There should be no thought about seniority here, how long you've been here. Whether you've been here 5 days or 5 years or whatever, if you have ideas, if you have suggestions, if you have things you care about, you need to bring them forward. You don't have to wait in line. You don't have to hold back. And I think one of the things we've done at Maryville is create what I would call a truly democratized culture where new students can feel comfortable suggesting ideas, taking positions in organizations and leading. You know, I think over the last several years, you know, we've had several MSG presidents who were sophomores. You know, they didn't have to be a senior or anything like that. People leading other organizations who are freshmen, sophomores, juniors, et cetera. So it's really a pretty level, equal culture where anyone can engage and jump in. And I value that greatly. I think that's so important.
Yeah, I would have to totally agree. Never did I think in my time here at Maryville would I be doing this right here. This is a really great experience, and so I definitely agree. I remember early on in my first year being able to hop into different leadership positions across campus, and I think that was a really cool opportunity. So kind of a little bit if you could give us a little bit of background. We talk about a lot about, so it's a two-part question, but if you could start off with just giving us a little bit of background of what is the Maryville active learning ecosystem? When they hear that, we talk about it a lot. Can you first explain what that is to everybody?
Sure. As you're going through the admission process before you even get here, our life coaches will connect with you, and we'll do a whole series of really fun learning diagnostics, strength finders, and learning inventory to get a sense of what are the best ways that every student learns, because we all learn differently. Learning is a personalized thing. We all don't learn the same. Warehouse teaching, warehouse learning doesn't work. We've learned that a long time ago. So it really starts with a personalized profile of a student's approach to learning, what works best for them and what are they most comfortable with and what are they most interested in, and then tailoring a program to fit that model. And the active learning ecosystem makes it come alive with the iPad, which we provide to every student free, over 150 learning apps loaded in for free. All the course materials that are accessible digitally are loaded into the iPad and available. It's all about putting the learning in the hands of the student so that you're controlling your learning process. Faculty are right there with you, helping facilitate, helping answer questions, helping give you a lot of content and knowledge that you need. But the active learning ecosystem is about every student owning their own learning process. And we're very, very proud of that. In fact, earlier today, I gave a talk on behalf of Apple to about 150 educators around the country about our active learning ecosystem, because they all want to know, how did we do it and how can they implement it? So it's a very powerful ecosystem around which the student is in control.
Yeah, I know when I talk to prospective students, something that I've noticed from being a student here is I'm going to get a great education inside the classroom, but I think I'm also going to, I get such a great education outside the classroom in so many diverse and different ways when it comes to student involvement. And so how do you kind of explain to the prospective student about how student involvement plays a role in the active learning ecosystem, and kind of about you're gaining so much more than an education by coming to Maryville and participating and getting involved?
Well, every student and every prospective student understand, you all understand this better than my generation does, right? You have the mobile technology tools at your disposal to access all kinds of knowledge and content that say my generation in its day never had. What we do is we've built out the bandwidth and connectivity and handed over the technology, the mobile technology, to allow you to do that, to allow you to access whatever you need to access. And then we help guide you through that journey of education, of learning, of experimentation, and all the rest. And part of that process is engagement and involvement. Or put another way, if you're sitting in a room and someone's talking to you all the time and telling you things and you're not actively involved, hey, let's face it, that gets pretty boring, right? But if you have the tools at your disposal in your own hands and you're searching for things and you're engaged and there are other fellow students and faculty helping facilitate, you tend to get a lot more excited, a lot more passionate, a lot more involved in that process. And that's the active learning ecosystem at its heart. And that's why students love it. That's why our enrollment has gone up the way it has. That's why our retention is so strong. Because once students get involved in this active learning ecosystem, they find that they can own it and get their arms around it and really make a difference in their own lives.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna we have one more question for you, if that's all right.
Sure.
And this kind of ties in with something that we're also going to do in the spring semester. So Maryville Lives will continue into the spring semester, and we'll cover this in depth in the spring. But in your own words, how would you describe Saints Nation? So we talk about a lot about joining the Saints Nation and being part of that. And how do you describe that?
Well, that's a really good question. For me, and the way I've observed it for many years is Saints Nation is about, first and foremost, we all care about each other. We all want each other to be successful. All of our students want everybody to really fulfill their dreams and their passions and their ambitions educationally and beyond. And then I think layered on top of that is a commitment to provide the very best education and the very best student service to facilitate that. So no matter where you turn on this campus, you're going to find people who are going to say, can I help you? What do you need? How can I assist you in what you're doing? These things all make up Saints Nation. So it's the big stuff, the active learning ecosystem, the commitment to excellence and service, but it's also the little things, the caring, the compassion. I've seen this community reach out and support fellow students that were in crisis and families struggling. Several years ago, we had a member of our baseball team whose family home burned down, and they were really in deep trouble. And thankfully, no one was hurt, but financially in deep trouble. This community rallied together and really put together a fundraising campaign to support that family and support that student. These are the kind of things that together, knitted together, really make up the heart of Saints Nation. And I've worked at different schools in my career, and I've never been in a place that had a stronger, more passionate commitment to that than Maryville. So,
yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. Well, I truly appreciate you joining us. Any last words or anything before you hop off and we transition to the students?
Well, all I'd say to any prospective student and family is the decision of where to go to school is a personal one, and it's an individual one. But Maryville University is the kind of place you should definitely at least come visit, talk to people, get to know people, to make sure that you know what Maryville's about, so that you can make the very best decision for yourselves. And if you make that decision to come here, I guarantee you're not going to regret it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lombardi. I really appreciate it. Have a great night.
Take care.
All right, everybody, we are going to transition now over to some of our student leaders. So I'm going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves really quickly. So I kind of did my introduction already. My name's Blake, third year cybersecurity major. I try to do as much as I can on campus. So I'm a residential assistant in Potter. I work in our Office of Admissions, involved a little bit with a few cool organizations, but I'll hand it over. Well, Michaela, why don't we go to you first? Why don't you give your introduction real quick?
All right. Well, hi there. My name is Michaela Rhodes. I am a third year elementary education major here at Maryville University. Something I'm kind of really into on campus is I am on the executive board for Drama Club, so I run our social media. So if you're ever on there, it's me posting. So hi. I'm really excited to be here tonight.
Yeah, over to you, Robert. Go right ahead.
Thanks, Blake. I'm Robert Summers. I'm a third-year secondary education major, emphasis in social studies. I am only involved in a couple of things, but they take up a lot of my time. I am president of Maryville Student Government. You might hear it referred to as MSG. And I'm also a co-president for Maryville Drama Club, so I see Michaela all the time for that fun stuff.
That's nothing major, right, Robert? Minor things, right?
Oh, no, just a lot of fun theatrical stuff.
Yeah. Well, just as a reminder to our viewers, that if you want to ask questions, that's below. If you have admissions questions, that's over to the right. Let's see if we have anything. Let's go with this one. What is we have somebody asking, what are the students at Maryville like? So we're all students. So what is your perspective on some of your fellow students around you? Who wants to take that one first?
I can go first, then.
Robert? Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So Dr. Lombardi hit up on a lot of the key themes about this is a campus that genuinely cares about people, a campus that's very friendly. And I would add on to that I think Maryville students are very passionate. We have a wide selection of organizations, of interests, of types of students on this campus, and no one does anything half-heartedly here. Even if it's only one or two things, they do it with a vengeance. They do it because that's what they love to do. And even if they're like, I'm here to study, they study so much, and we have people doing amazing majors because they are genuinely care about it and we have a community where everyone understands. There's no shame in loving what you love. It's all about that passion.
Yeah, Michaela, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would just say going off of that, yeah, we are very passionate. We are very driven. Anything we do at 110% for sure. Something I also like to put on there is kind of our big thing here at Maryville is diversity and inclusion. So you're going to see a lot of that around campus. You're going to see a lot of different groups, like Robert said, a lot of people being very accepting and very open, and just an overall really great, caring campus, I feel like.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of those points. I think, as I mentioned to Dr. Lombardi, I don't think you could find a group of people that genuinely care about your well-being more than the community of Maryville. And that extends past our students. That extends to the faculty that you're interacting with, the staff that you're interacting with. They genuinely care about your success and well-being. And that's just really nice and comforting to know. And then I also like to joke that we take our Strengths Finders test here at Maryville, and so that's something that I personally love. I love knowing my strengths, and you guys will get to know, to our prospective students watching, you'll get to learn more about your strengths. But basically, you'll take a survey when you're getting enrolled and getting signed up for classes, everything. It'll basically tell you your top 5 strengths and kind of how those help you as a student. And I almost could promise you that Achiever has to be one of the highest strengths that all Maryville students have, because I've never seen a drive like most Maryville students, I mean, me included. Like when I set my head to something, I'm going for it. But yeah, that's really cool. Let's see. Do either of you guys, do you guys live on campus, off-campus commuters? Robert, where do you live? You guys, Robert and Michaela, you guys both live on campus. Just to give some people a little bit of context before we answer this question is what is it like to live on dorms? And then the second part of this question is especially in light of COVID-19. So what I'll say is the kind of logistically how we did it. So some of our residence halls, like Saints Hall, which typically has double occupancy, is down to single occupancy. And so we have also rented out some floors on a Marriott West hotel as well as the Drury Hotel. And so I think Robert is coming live from one of our hotels right now. And so that's really cool. And so that's a great experience for you all. I still live on campus. That's technically considered on campus, but I live in Potter Hall, and this is my first year at Potter Hall. I was in Saints Hall my first 2 years, and I love them both. I mean, both really hold a special place. But why don't you guys talk about, and we'll start with Michaela first. What is it like? What is your experience with living in the dorms?
So I live in the apartments right now. I live in Pine, so it's the one that's furthest out. I really like living on campus just because pre-COVID there was always something going on campus. So it was nice to live on campus and just be walking around and be like, oh, there's bounce houses here for some reason. I'm going to check it out. So that was really cool to experience. Post-COVID, yes, we have toned down a little bit of the in-person events, but there's still a lot of online events that are really, really nice to visit. And you'll be visiting events that you never thought you would visit before, which is really, really nice. Living in the apartment specifically, I really like because it gives me a sense of, like, you know, being independent without actually living, like finding an apartment somewhere. I'm not from the St. Louis area, so trying to navigate that would be really tough for me at the moment. But yes, for safety measure-wise for COVID, we are definitely stepping up and making sure that we're all safe, especially living in the dorms and living in close quarters. I feel very safe on campus. I feel like we are taking this very seriously and that all precautions are being met. So personally, I would say if you can live on campus, because it is a truly different experience, but you can still have the college experience if you're living at home or somewhere close. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Robert, would you like to add anything about living on campus, your experience on campus?
Yeah, and kind of like Blake mentioned, I've had 3 years with 3 different dorms, so I can speak to a couple of them. The third one obviously isn't an on-campus experience. It's at the Marriott West, but that has still been going really well. I've stayed in Potter, I've stayed in Saints, and now I'm in the hotel. And in each of those, it was definitely a sense of community, definitely a sense of people wanting to make the space their own and wanting to collaborate with one another. You're listening to someone whose parents went to Maryville, actually. They both were commuters. They said they had a great experience, and they also knew that it would be a great experience to live on campus. So from the Summers family, you have recommendations for both. And again, looking at this year specifically, I agree with Michaela that all of the dorm precautions have been taken very seriously. We had our first floor meeting at the beginning of the year, and they kind of joked, some years we'll let some other things slide, or we'll let a little noise complaint get a little louder. But when it comes to health this year, we were taking it very seriously, because it's not just about any one individual. It's about the Maryville, the St. Louis, and the United States. It's not about one, it's about us. And the students have followed through. I actually think that within this hotel, the Maryville floors are at the best of wearing masks and being distant, so they probably are lucky to have us, that we are following the rules as much as anyone else.
And I think overall, the whole Maryville community is doing great. As we're very transparent with our numbers and everything, and so you guys are more than welcome to go to our maryville.edu website and check out all of our information. We call it Saint Strong is what we call it, and so that's all of our guidelines and everything, and confirmed cases of COVID-19 and everything like that. So check that out if you're interested in that. And I think you guys nailed it perfectly. Health and safety is obviously the priority this year. It's always the priority, but I think we've done a really great job handling that situation, as well as keeping the community. And so I'm a residential assistant in Potter, and that's something that, being a first year RA going through summer training, we're all new to this. No residential assistant really has ever gone through a pandemic before. Nobody gave us a cheat sheet on how to be a residential assistant in the pandemic. And so, it was very important. All of our professional staff kind of reemphasized, health and safety is obviously the priority, but let's make sure we, come together as a community and, make sure we're keeping that Saint Strong community. Let's talk about a few other things. How do you think being a student leader contributes to your college experience? And I'm actually going to time out on that question for a second, because I remembered one more point that I had. We are all on-campus residents, but I'm going to give a shout out to somebody that probably Robert and Michaela both know. His name is Amar, and he is like, I think, a great representation of our commuter population on campus. And don't tell him I told you all this, because this could be our secret, but some great things about Amar. Amar's a great student leader. He's a great student. You probably couldn't even tell that he was a commuter. And, he stays involved. There's plenty of opportunities for you all if you are going to commute, as Michaela said, plenty of different opportunities. So when you're considering living on campus, off campus, commuting, just understand that student involvement doesn't really change based on if you're living on campus or not. And so we're there for you for our commuters and everything like that. So let me flip back to that question now, because I just remembered that. Sorry, everybody. How do you think being a student leader contributes to your college experience? And so just talk a little bit about maybe you all becoming a student leader and just kind of what that experience has been like. Let's start with Robert, since Michaela needs a drink of water.
Thank you.
Sounds good. I'm happy to let Michaela have her water. So I became a student leader in part by just going to what we have our involvement fair at the beginning of the year. It is kind of what you expect. All the organizations and clubs have tables set up on our lawn. They try to get people to join up, get in there. Phone numbers, I still get text messages from some of those phones I gave out my freshman year. I haven't been to a meeting, but I still know that the meetings are upcoming. But no, I kid. And that is a great opportunity to have all of the orgs right next to each other, being able to go. I knew some of the ones I wanted to attend, and some of the ones I didn't know I wanted to, and I still ended up going to their spots or went to their meetings. So that's been a lot of fun. And I ended up focusing on drama club and on student government, because those were ones that I had passions for, both from high school and things that I want to continue post Maryville. I will also add to Blake's comment about commuter students that both of the leaders that I have now taken up after for MSG and for Drama Club were commuters. The presidents of both of those were commuter students.
Yes. That's a great point, Robert.
Yeah, no stigma, no. It's almost the expectation that commuter students are as involved. And it's affected my college experience by widening my friend group, allowing me to know people I wouldn't know otherwise. I've had very unique experiences, especially with MSG. I got to, over the summer, speak with a couple other presidents of student organizations, including the president from Harvard University, from the largest community college in the LA area, about how their schools are handling COVID. And MSG is not an anomaly. Every organization that we have on campus will be going to events or going to institutions that tie with what their material is. So in those ways, it's hard to sell that when you're an incoming student thinking, oh yeah, I expect to one day meet with people from universities across the nation, but it really will happen when you're a student leader here at Maryville.
Yeah. Michaela, anything to add?
Well, he did a great job. Robert is definitely the person to go to there, Robert or Blake. But I will say, kind of what Robert was saying, it's one of those things that you don't really think of coming into college. You're like, I'm just here to do what I need to do. Honestly, I just asked. I was like, hey, can I do this? And they were like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, now I'm here being a student leader. So, yeah, definitely, for one, get involved, because then you'll figure out more opportunities within that organization that you're really passionate about. Because it might just come up like, hey, we have this position open. Does anybody, want to fill it? And you're like, okay, it is. And then you get that confidence and you build up to then do more things on campus. So I just became a pack leader on campus, and that's kind of like the tour guides around campus and things like that. So yes, so that gave me, being on the exec board for Drama Club led me to have the confidence to be like, I think I can do this too. So that's definitely how it's had changed my college experience. I've definitely gotten more involved and gotten more confidence within myself and within my leadership skills. So, yeah.
Yeah, and something that I just wanted to add is something that Dr. Lombardi and I kind of touched on already, but I find it, very interesting. I feel like I learn so much more outside the classroom just as much as I learn inside the classroom. I mean, the things that I've experienced through student involvement and other opportunities across campus is just amazing to me. So I'm a part of an organization called Connect, which is our committee on new and existing campus traditions. And we kind of host some of our traditional, like larger events, if you guys would agree with that statement. So homecoming, University Week of Welcome, Family Weekend, different events like that are hosted by Connect. And I got to be the Family Weekend coordinator last year. And what an experience that was. We had over 500 families join us on campus. This was obviously pre-pandemic, and have just an action-packed, fun weekend. And to be able to be a student and to be like, man, I planned this. I helped make this happen was just so cool, as well as just all the things that I learned about event planning and like all the facets of that was amazing. I was like, as a cybersecurity major, I never thought that I would be, putting in requests for different things and digital signage requests. And I mean, I was like, wow, this is a little bit out of the ordinary, but I love it. And I think that's because we have such a great network of people. And so this is going to transition us into this next question so well. So you all be ready for this transition. That network of support and assistance is there for you. I know that our director of student involvement is a big help. He's a great resource for us. But then kind of tying that into academics, somebody asked about other campuses have student tutoring or assistance centers. Is that available at Maryville? And I will give the direct answer of yes. And then do we have any former tutors on here or current tutors that would like to kind of, oh, there we go. I was a tutor my freshman year for math. And then I transitioned over to the Office of Admissions. So I'll let Robert take that away.
So I work in kind of like a sub division of our tutoring center in the writing studio specifically, which again, it's another thing that goes along with it, but it's mainly focused for any kind of academic, personal, any kind of writing that you might need help with. And I got to, again, work with the same group of tutors, so I still very relevant, I feel. And our tutoring program is all student-centered. Students are the one who run it. Students are the one who ask for the help. And there is absolutely no stigma about getting tutoring on campus. You'll hear, again, student leaders. You'll hear people who you think of are like fourth year and super smart people be like, oh, I have a tutoring session I have to get to, because it's such a norm. We make a big point, and all the teachers, all the programs do that. Tutoring is about making sure that you're still at a baseline. It's not about you falling down and need help. It's that I just want to keep up. I want to make sure I'm on the right track. Some tutoring sessions are just about, yep, you know what you're doing. I can agree with that. We're good to keep going. And that, again, if you're interested in writing, we have a writing studio. If you're interested in math, we have math tutors. Every major, not necessarily every class, I don't know if we're quite there yet, but for a vast majority of class specific as well, our tutors rather, have a wide experience, wide majors, know what it's like, and they will find time to work with you in person, virtually. We've started virtual tutoring this year, and it's been a real success, and I imagine that they're keeping it going. I've heard positive things from that.
I think as well is, I think it ties right into our active learning ecosystem, and something that Dr. Lombardi said earlier. Everybody has a different journey while they're here, and a different path to getting their degree. And I think that's a perfect representation. When I was a tutor my first year for some math classes, I went in for my first shift, if you would call it that. And I was like, it popped up on my schedule that I already had a tutoring appointment. And I go, it's only the first week of school. I'm confused. Like, okay. And so the person I was meeting with showed up, and, amazing person that I'm still friends with today. She was like, listen, in high school, I know I struggled with math a little bit. And so I just wanted to make sure from day one, like, I was keeping up with it. I was staying on path, and I had somebody that I had time to check in and just kind of be a confidence booster, be like, yep, you did it right. Like, you're good. And so that was a really great experience right off the bat, to just experience our tutoring center and be like, oh, like Robert said, there is no stigma. Like, it is just basically to assist you in your journey here at Maryville. So that's a really good question, and that's some really good points that we made about that. I wanted to take a second and talk about and hear your guys' thoughts about different opportunities that you have been given by the university throughout student involvement and different student leadership positions. I know that if you guys come on tour with me in person, and I'm sure Michaela has heard me say this so many times as we've gone through training and we've toured together, is that this university has given me so many opportunities. It is crazy. Before the pandemic, never did I think that I would be traveling all over the United States to do professional development and student leadership development, different stuff like that. So it's crazy to me that I've got to do so much travel and stuff, and just grow as a student leader. So I'll let someone kick it off to talk about opportunities that you've been given by the university as a student leader. Does anybody have anything that jumps right out at them? Robert, anything? MSG president?
I can talk about that. And I think, again, I've had a lot of experiences both as an education major and with drama club as well. But to speak again to MSG and think of some of those student leadership opportunities, we have several institutions that we work with, including the National Association of Collegiate Activities, or NACA. You'll hear that acronym quite frequently once you get involved with organizations. And this was my first summer where I was eligible to be in some of those programs. And you might think, oh, well, then they were canceled because it was the pandemic summer. No, it was not. We found ways to do virtual meetings both over Zoom and through other platforms. We had our own in-house training with MSG that we held still virtually because Maryville and the people that we partner with recognize that leadership and opportunities are always important for all students, and that any kind of opportunities you can have they will find a way to get them to you, even if it's under a very weird year that we might not ever have again.
Yeah. Michaela, anything to add to that?
Yeah, that's basically what I was going to say. You're doing great, Robert.
What, you want to talk about maybe like some of those experiences we have in School of Ed, maybe, and like what that kind of experience is like?
Yeah, so for the School of Education, they do a lot of outreach opportunities. We're always trying to go out to the different schools and give them things they need. So I know we do like this kind of book fair, book drive type thing. That's always a fun time, a cool thing to do. But there are always a bunch of opportunities that are always jumping out at you. They'll just email you one day. You'll get a weird email and it'll be like, hey, you want to do this? And I'm like, I'll think about it. Okay. So it's not like you're going to be forgotten about or you're going to be passed up. It's open for anyone. And it's definitely, they're going to make sure that you get to that and, make sure that you are able to look at those and make the decision, do I want to do this or not? So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. We're down to 4 minutes, y'all. I feel like time has flied on this Maryville Live. So we're going to rapid fire a few questions. So I'm just going to kind of throw it over to somebody and take 1 or 2 minutes and maybe kind of answer that for the people. And maybe we'll have 2 people answer this question because I think this is a great question because I think there's a lot to unpack here. So the question was, what's it like to be given an iPad? And what's your experience with how that's utilized on our campus? And so I think I will say this, and then I'll pass it over to somebody else, is that I was given an iPad in high school. We had a one-to-one initiative in my high school, and that iPad probably sat in my book bag 95% of the time, and I probably never pulled it out. That is not what's going to happen here at Maryville. I mean, I am constantly using that thing, and it's like Dr. Lombardi said, we do have our own app store, and we do push out apps to you all, and it is just so nice to have all those different opportunities, and it makes it so easy, and it also puts everybody on the same page as well, and so it's probably got really nice for our faculty. But I'll hand it over to Robert, and then I'll let him say a few words, and then Michaela, if he missed anything, just throw it in right after he finishes.
Okay.
So doing everything on the iPad becomes very easy. You can be tech illiterate when you walk into Maryville, and you will walk out knowing the ins and out of it. You'll have teachers who will explicitly tell you how to do things. You'll have experiences of what to do. You'll have programs where all the students are doing the exact same thing, and you're going to be right on track with everyone. You're going to find a few apps that you like, whether it's Notability, whether it's Grammarly, whether it's Google Docs. And they also understand that sometimes you have your things that you like, and you're allowed to take your time and work on that. The teachers understand this is just a baseline of technology.
Yeah, something I would like to... Oh, sorry. Something I would like to add is, they're definitely making sure that you're ready to be in the real world and use all these technologies. That's why they give you so many different opportunities to use it and different apps to use, because there's so much out there, and they want to make sure you have at least a baseline for stuff. So I came in not having one Apple product, and I was a little nervous, but I'm doing great on the iPad now. So I write my notes on there. I do literally everything on it. So it'll become your life if you let it.
Yeah, so really quickly, I'm going to answer one of our last questions. Does Maryville have an Office of Career and Professional Development or something to help build resumes and get internships? Yes. Please look into our website about that. I mean, we're always happy to help. We use Handshake. We have a whole office dedicated to getting you internships and helping you transition out of college into the job world. So that is going to wrap up our time. First of all, huge shout out to Robert and Michaela. Thank you all so much for joining tonight for Maryville Live. I wanted to give our viewers a few things to leave with. One, check out our website, maryville.edu/visit. We have a ton of different virtual experiences, on-campus experiences for you to participate in. All of these Maryville Lives have been recorded. There's so much great information on that. Check it out. We'll be doing some more of this in the spring. Also, I always like to give a shout out as well to our Maryville University YouTube page. We cover some great information on there. Like, there's some cool stuff to check out. But with that being said, thank you all so much. Please reach out to our Office of Admissions if you have questions or anything. You can email us at admissions@maryville.edu. They're always happy to help you. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great night. I will see you all in the spring. Have a good one, everybody.